Somewhere deep beneath the frozen Russian soil, a machine is listening, waiting. If every Russian leader dies in a nuclear strike, this machine will wake up, and without any human pressing a button, it will launch enough nuclear warheads to end civilization as we know it. The terrifying part, it might be listening right now. This is Clusterstory, where we take a deep dive into history to get a great understanding of how we got here. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell, like and share this video. The Doomsday machine that cannot be stopped. In the darkest years of the Cold War, Soviet military planners faced a nightmare scenario. What if America launched a devastating first strike? What if every general, every politician, every person capable of ordering retaliation was vaporized in an instant? The missiles would sit in their silos useless, while the motherland burned. The solution they created was both brilliant and absolutely horrifying. They called it perimeter. The West would come to know it by a far more chilling name, the dead hand. This was not just another weapon. This was something unprecedented in human history, a system designed to guarantee the destruction of human civilization, even after its creators were already dead. The paranoia that built a monster. To understand why the dead hand exists, we need to travel back to the 1980s. Ronald Reagan sat in the White House. The Soviet Union was crumbling from within, and both superpowers had enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world several times over. Soviet leadership was aging. They were paranoid, and they had good reason to be. American technology was advancing rapidly. New missile systems promised faster, more accurate strikes. Soviet early warning systems were primitive by comparison. In 1983, a software glitch nearly caused World War III when it falsely detected American missiles incoming. The man who prevented that catastrophe, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov, made a gut decision to ignore the warning. But Soviet leadership learned a terrifying lesson. Human judgment could fail. Human reflexes were too slow, and humans could be killed before they could respond. They needed something that could not be killed, something that would outlive them all, something that would have the final word, even if every Soviet citizen was already dead. How the dead hand works, the system they built, was elegantly terrifying in its design. Perimeter operates on a simple but devastating principle. It monitors seismic activity, radiation levels, air pressure, and communication channels across the Soviet Union. If it detects the telltale signs of a nuclear attack, and if communication with Soviet leadership goes silent, the system begins its countdown. But here is what makes it truly horrifying. The dead hand does not immediately launch missiles. Instead, it waits. It gives human operators a chance to respond. But if no human input is received within a certain time frame, the system takes over completely. Command rockets launch from secret locations. These rockets fly across the country, broadcasting a single message to every nuclear silo, every submarine, every mobile launcher. That message is simple: launch everything. No human decision required. No authorization codes needed. The rockets themselves become the finger pressing the button, the dead commanding the living carrying out orders from ghosts. The men WHO built Armageddon. The engineers who created this system understood exactly what they were building. They were constructing a machine of absolute annihilation, a device that removed human mercy, human hesitation, human second thoughts from the equation entirely. Valery Rinnik was one of the officers who worked on the system. He later defected and revealed its existence to the West. He described the logic behind it in chilling terms. The point was not to win a nuclear war. Winning was impossible. The point was to guarantee that no one else would win either. If the Soviet Union was going to die, it would drag its enemies into the grave alongside it. This was mutually assured destruction taken to its ultimate conclusion, not as a strategy, but as a machine, cold, patient, and utterly indifferent to human suffering. The secret that almost stayed buried. For decades, the dead hand remained one of the most closely guarded secrets in the world. Western intelligence agencies suspected something existed, but they could never confirm it. The logic of deterrence seemed to demand its existence. After all, what good is a doomsday weapon if your enemy does not know about it? But the Soviets never announced it publicly. Some theorists believe this was intentional. A known doomsday device might encourage an enemy to launch an overwhelming first strike, hoping to disable it. But an unknown device, rumored to exist, created uncertainty. And uncertainty breeds caution. It was only after the Soviet Union collapsed that former officials began to speak. What they revealed was more terrifying than anyone had imagined. The system was not just a theoretical concept. It was real. It was operational. and according to some sources, it had been activated during times of heightened tension.
Is the dead hand still alive? This is where the story becomes truly unsettling for the modern world. The Soviet Union is gone. The Cold War is supposedly over. But Russia inherited the nuclear arsenal of its predecessor. And according to multiple credible sources, Russia also inherited the dead hand. In 2011, the Russian military confirmed that a system called Perimeter still existed. They claimed it had been upgraded and improved. Modern sensors, faster computers, more reliable communication networks. The dead hand had been given new life. Russian officials have been deliberately vague about the system's current status. Some claim it only activates during times of crisis. Others suggest it runs continuously, always watching, always waiting. What is certain is that Russian nuclear doctrine still relies on the threat of guaranteed retaliation, and the dead hand remains the ultimate insurance policy for that threat. The psychology of Doomsday, understanding the dead hand, requires understanding something dark about human psychology. We built a machine to destroy ourselves because we could not trust ourselves not to hesitate. In the logic of nuclear deterrence, hesitation is weakness. If your enemy believes you might not retaliate, they might be tempted to strike first. But if they know with absolute certainty that retaliation is guaranteed, they will never take that risk. The dead hand removes all doubt. It cannot be bribed. It cannot be threatened. It cannot be assassinated. It has no family to protect, no survival instinct to override its programming. It is the perfect weapon precisely because it is not human. But this perfection comes with a terrible cost. The system cannot distinguish between an accident and an attack. It cannot recognize a false alarm. It cannot show mercy. If the sensors detect what appears to be a nuclear war, and if no one is alive to tell it otherwise, it will end the world without a moment of hesitation. Close calls and near misses. The history of nuclear weapons is filled with close calls, moments when accident, miscommunication, or simple bad luck nearly triggered catastrophe. In 1995, Russian early warning systems detected what appeared to be a submarine-launched missile heading toward Moscow. President Boris Yeltsin was awakened with the nuclear briefcase. For several terrifying minutes, the world stood on the brink. The missile turned out to be a Norwegian scientific rocket, studying the northern lights. Norway had informed Russian authorities in advance, but the message never reached the right people. If Yeltsin had not hesitated, if he had followed protocol and ordered retaliation, the dead hand might have ensured that no one survived to apologize for the mistake. This is the nightmare that haunts nuclear strategists. Not a calculated attack, but a cascade of errors that triggers the machine before anyone realizes what is happening. The moral horror, there is something deeply disturbing about a weapon designed to kill after its creators are already dead. It represents a kind of vengeance beyond the grave, a refusal to accept defeat, even in annihilation. Critics argue that the dead hand is fundamentally immoral. It guarantees the deaths of billions of innocent people who had nothing to do with the original attack. It punishes children for the decisions of politicians. It erases the future to avenge the past. Defenders claim it serves a higher purpose. By making retaliation absolutely certain, it makes nuclear war absolutely unthinkable. The horror of the dead hand is precisely what keeps the peace. This is the paradox at the heart of nuclear deterrence. We prevent destruction by promising it. We keep the peace by preparing for annihilation. What this means for today: we live in a world where the dead hand still watches, where a machine built by men who died decades ago still holds the power to end civilization. Relations between Russia and the West have deteriorated in recent years. Nuclear treaties have collapsed. New weapons are being developed. The old fears are returning, and somewhere beneath the Russian earth, the sensors are still monitoring, the computers are still calculating, the rockets are still waiting. The dead hand does not care about politics. It does not care about diplomacy. It does not care about hope or fear or love or hate. It only understands one thing: attack means retaliation, always, without exception, without mercy. This is the world we built, a world where a machine holds the keys to apocalypse, a world where the dead might yet have the final word. Conclusion: the hand that never sleeps. The dead hand represents humanity at its most paradoxical. We created a machine to guarantee our own destruction because we could not trust ourselves to be destructive enough. We automated annihilation because we feared we might hesitate at the crucial moment. It stands as a monument to our fear, our paranoia, and our desperate need for security at any cost. And it reminds us of an uncomfortable truth. The Cold War may have ended, but the machines it created are still running. The logic of mutually assured destruction still governs the world. And somewhere in the darkness, a system designed to survive the death of its creators continues its endless vigil. The dead hand does not sleep. It does not forget. It does not forgive. It simply waits. If you found this exploration of nuclear history fascinating and terrifying, subscribe to Clusterstory for more deep dives into the forces that shaped our world. Share this video with someone who needs to understand what is really at stake. And remember, history is not just about the past. It is about understanding the world we live in today. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay aware of the hands that hold our fate.